If you don't have good game, you just will take whatever you can get wherever you can get it because you're in scarcity. You're in a level of, I have nothing, I'll take whatever. Once you have that ability, now you can meet girls anywhere, and now you can pick and choose. You're probably going to go on a journey as you learn, right? So at first, most of you in this room either are at the point or started your journey at the point where you are being too platonic and not man to woman enough. At that point, you should be going out of your way to be man to woman every single possible place you can, right? And don't be afraid to overdo it and learn where that line is. And what you'll find is that your results will go up and up and up and up and up and up, and then they'll drop off a cliff, right? When the results go up and up and up, keep doing it. When they drop off the cliff, stop and backtrack a little bit, and now you've found where that calibration line is. Man to woman topics will be things like sex, drugs, rock and roll, right? Things that are a little bit scandalous, things that are a little bit naughty, spontaneous, adventurous, dangerous, that kind of stuff, right? Those are the types of topics that are going to lead to more sexual conversation. And in general, you should try and steer your conversations there on dates and with women, but not exclusively, right? In the same way that you don't want to game exclusively, you don't want to be the entire thing trying to be like, I'm edgy, I'm naughty, this kind of stuff. You want to have a little bit of get to know you. And a kind of an advanced skill in game is how to have a really boring conversation in a non-boring way. Right, like there's this thing they say, like a great actor can like read the dictionary and make you cry, right? A good guy, a good gamer, I guess, could have a conversation about work and still make the girl laugh, and still have emotional spikes, and still find teases in the boring stuff, right? And that's another skill. So one good skill is switching the conversation to topics that are useful to you, but another useful one is even when you're on the bad topics, right? You can listen to her talk about her work, and you occasionally just like, you know, throw in a flirt or a tease about the work, or occasionally be like, you look so cute saying that. I'm sorry, it's unprofessional, but go ahead, go back, right? But you want to learn how to mix that in, and that's a skill as well. Every single person who gets really good at game, they develop their own style that can be drastically different from other people's styles, all right? There are people who are very good, who they go in and their philosophy in game is, I'm just going to get every shit test possible out of the way in the first 2 minutes. And at that point, the girl will be like shit test exhausted, and I will have shown my ability to master them, and then it'll be smooth sailing from there. Other guys like to have a much more like slow, platonic build and take their time and get to know the girl and avoid shit tests and just be very smooth and almost like they're dancing around the shit test, not getting them, right? Some guys want to pick one girl that is like the hottest girl for them that night and really hone in on that, and they don't care if they spend all night with a girl and it's not a viable option, and it doesn't go anywhere. They want to go after the girl they want. Other guys, they're like, I'm going to go and I'm going to screen super hard. Does this girl have good logistics? Can this girl go home with me tonight? If not, I'm going to go meet another girl. And these are all valid ways to game. There's nothing wrong with any of them. It depends on what you're looking for. There are some guys who get really good at game and they sleep with like 10 girls a year, but they're all like their personal 10s. There are other guys that will sleep with 100 girls in a year. And you know, some are their personal 10s and some are their personal 8s. And they're happier with that, right? At the end of the day, you need to develop a game style that is tailored to your lifestyle and that works for you. And so this involves a balance between personal lifestyle decisions and optimal game decisions in a lot of cases. For example, guys ask me when I do boot camps, right? One of the questions they ask on the first night, possibly because they're nervous and want to have a drink, is they ask, what's your philosophy on drinking on program, right? And here's what I give as my philosophy for drinking on boot camp. I say, we're all adults here. You can have a drink if you want to, but here are my stipulations. Number one, don't get blackout drunk, please. Not on my boot camp, right? And also, don't get so drunk that you forget what you're learning, right? That's important. Beyond that, though, is don't use alcohol as a crutch, right? So I say, you know, you have to do at least, say, 2 or 3 approaches before you can have your first drink. You're not allowed to go get drunk in order to do your first approach, right? And then from there, it's up to you, right? My personal philosophy is I don't drink alone, and I don't drink like just to get drunk. But if I'm with a group of 3 girls, and by saying, hey, let's get a drink, I can take my one girl I'm most interested in over to the bar alone, away from the friends. We can make out. We come back to the friends, and we're pretty much together for the night, and now we're addressing the whole situation differently. The the price of that one drink in terms of financial cost to me and in terms of the tiny bit of poison I just injected into my body is probably worth it in terms of getting a result if I like the girl enough, right? So again, that's a personal choice. I could also make the choice and make the decision that I am not drinking at all in game, right? There is a utility to one decision, there's a utility to another decision. And in the end of the day, you have to make that decision, right? And that comes down to a lot of things. Like, for example, where are you going to meet girls? You have choices. Are you going to meet girls in day game? You're going to meet girls online. Meet girls in bar. You're going to meet girls at church. You're going to meet girls at a running club, right? And all of these have their pros and their cons, right? Going out and meeting a girl in night game, what are the pros of that? Well, the nightclub has curated a lot of girls that are attractive and dolled up and in a mood to talk to someone there for you, right? And it's an environment where there is some drinking going on, so there's a lot of like kind of social lubrication. It might be easier to talk in some ways. But there are negatives. Negatives are the girls are there distracted by music. The girls are there with their friends, right? And also the girls are self-selected as drinking occasionally. So if you want a girl who never drinks, don't go to bars. Right? Pretty simple, right? On the flip side of that, the far end the other way would be going and meeting girls at church as your strategy. What are the pros and cons there? Well, if you're looking for a girl, assuming that you believe that church is good, moral, whatever, we won't even get into that, but assuming that that's actually what you want, then you're selecting for a girl who has a certain morality, right? But there are not going to be a ton of hot girls in your church, probably, right? And you probably can't date 7 of them at the same time without creating a huge social conflict for yourself, right? And it might take you many dates before you sleep with some of them because of the very same moral philosophy you're looking for is also impeding your progress socially, right? And so again, this is a personal choice, right? And to me, the beauty of game is that you get more options in that choice, right? If you don't have good game, you just will take whatever you can get wherever you can get it because you're in scarcity. You're in a level of, I have nothing, I'll take whatever. Once you have that ability, now you can meet girls anywhere, and now you can pick and choose, right? And you could, theoretically, like if I wanted to never go out again, like at the level of game I'm at, if I wanted to just live my life day to day and never go out, and just I'll meet the girl who happens to sit next to me on the airplane who's hot, and I'll meet the girl who happens to be standing in line in front of me at Starbucks, right? I'm not going to do any active change in my routine, change in my schedule to game in any way, shape, or form. I would still have tons of girlfriends at this point, right? Because there's enough random circumstances and my closing percentage off of bumping into people random is going to be super, super high compared to the average guy, right? And I think that's where you want to get to. You want to get to the point where your game is solid enough and your ratios and turnover is so good that you technically don't have to go out and game if you didn't want to anymore. But the ironic thing is the only way you're ever going to get that good is probably by going out and gaming and practicing, because you're just not going to get enough reps otherwise, right? And so that's kind of, in a way, the paradox of game. And I honestly believe that even if you are that good, you should still go out, because just filling the funnel gives you more options, right? The other thing I would say, too, is try not to be too judgmental of girls up front, because girls are very, very flexible, right? And I know the mental images you all got when I said that, but I mean, in terms of their behavior, girls are very, very flexible. A girl who has partied a lot in the past, when she is with a guy who she really likes and respects, who has a healthy lifestyle, oftentimes she will adopt that healthy lifestyle, right? A lot of girls, when they start dating me, they start eating differently, right? They start going to the gym more, right? Or a big one actually is they start thinking about their work and business situation and becoming more entrepreneurial, or at least becoming more upwardly mobile in their jobs because they get inspired, or they start learning good habits from me, that kind of stuff. And so to an extent, there's go and find the woman you're looking for, and then to an extent there's build the woman you're looking for, make her into the woman you're looking for. And that's also a powerful thing that comes from game. But in terms of the lifestyle you're going to create around these things, it really is up to you guys. And to me, that's, again, one of the most beautiful things about game is that it gives you, instead of having 3 tools to design your lifestyle with, you have 100 tools to design the life you want with. And you have powerful, strong, useful tools to design exactly what you want, right? And so that's what I do. And I would say that almost anybody learning game, even if your end goal is to have game completely merged into your life so you don't have to take time aside, you probably do have to spend some time learning the skill set in order to get there. But yeah, the ultimate goal would be to be so good that you don't have to inconvenience yourself at all in life, and just whenever a hot girl crosses your path, you have that ability.